Anyways, it's really good to be here. I'm from Nordic Choice Hotels, and I'm also actually a student in communication, writing my master's thesis about TripAdvisor. So I will have to speak about TripAdvisor a little bit, but most of all, I would like to take you through the journey of how we've started to organize content in a very complex organization. And I will give you 4 core ideas that I think can be interesting and valuable to any kind of strategy in terms of content. Anyways, so to begin with, we are actually now 188 hotels. It's changing every month. We are cooperating with 3 brands: Clarion Hotel, Comfort Hotel, Quality Hotel, and then we also have 15 independent hotels, such as Yasuragi Hasseludden, for instance, or Copperhill in Åre. That's a little bit about us. We are also 13,000 employees, and you can find us on 100 destinations in Scandinavia. And about a year ago, I got this mission to set a strategy, a social strategy for the social presence of our hotels. And we had a digital strategy for the web. We did have for the central accounts, but we knew very little about what the hotels actually were doing. The first thing that I actually tried to figure out was actually mapping out, okay, who is doing what at the hotels? What are they doing? In what channels? What are their struggles, basically? And I found out a lot of things to actually cover in a thesis, but I will give you a few of the outcomes. First of all, the number of social accounts that we have is 150 Instagram accounts, 69 Twitter accounts, and 188 Facebook accounts. No one told me that when I said yes to the job. And also what we saw was the fact that we have about 600,000 followers on Facebook, mainly in Scandinavia, and 13 million check-ins to these hotels. So you can just imagine the impact that these accounts actually have. And in this digital and complicated system, it becomes a little bit more complicated when you think about the fact that we have 188 Facebook and Twitter and Instagram accounts, and TripAdvisor for sure. And in addition to that, we have to speak with 3 different brands and this umbrella, Nordic Choice Hotels. And as you can see, booking a hotel today is not necessarily a linear process. It's a very complicated process. And the fact is that between you actually start looking for a hotel and by the time you book the hotel, you've been through Facebook 22 times, and you've been through TripAdvisor 5 times. That's the reality. And when we look to the ways that the hotels, how they actually manage these accounts, we could see that there is not one single way to run a hotel, and there's not one single way to run a social presence for this hotel. We saw that it could be the general manager who was running the account. We saw that it could be sometimes a salesperson, sometimes a shift leader. It could be anyone. And we also saw that the competence between these hotels was very different. We had the really fancy one, the really advanced one who could create like Instagram stuff in the lobby. And we had those people who really were struggling a lot. And the thing that they have in common is the fact that they're hotel people. Once a time, they decided to work in the hotel industry because they wanted to work with service. And then all of a sudden, the social revolution came, and everyone had to be on Facebook. Everyone had to be a publisher. No one knew why, but all of a sudden, we all had to be there. And I could really tell that they were struggling a lot. So in this situation, what should we really do? What's the first number one first thing to do? And we decided to actually go back to business and go back to the fact that, okay, wherever you are, in whatever channels you choose to be, you have to respond. You have to talk with your audience, you have to interact, you have to respond to complaints and so forth. And this is something that all the hotel managers, all the shift leaders, they really know hotel service. And if there's one channel where we have to be, whether we want it or not, is TripAdvisor. So we decided to say that, okay, we should answer to any customer, any review on TripAdvisor, no matter what. And why is TripAdvisor important? Well, they have 300 million visitors, unique visitors, every month. They get 200 new reviews every minute. Talk about content marketing. They have actually changed the whole way we book hotels. So it's really the Goliath of the travel industry. And by the time we started this, we had 48% responses of the hotels actually answering on TripAdvisor. There is also a very interesting case here that if you're active responding your reviews, you will actually, the chance to get bookings will increase with 20%. So there's a strong revenue connection here. And 48% is not too bad, actually, because benchmark is 35%. 35% of all the TripAdvisor reviews are answered by the hotel management. And in October, we had 80% who actually responded to the reviews. That's actually the time when TripAdvisor called me and asked if we were doing anything. And it was an easy way because this is what they do all the time, the hotel managers and the staff, I mean, taking care of the customers. It was actually just putting it into a digital context. And in February, now we actually have all the hotels except for 14 who answer. And I mean, one thing is that we want to answer because the customers are important to us. But another thing is actually the fact that we have a huge treasure of insight here. We get to know the customers. We can actually do actions to what they're actually complaining about. And location is, of course, a very valuable thing. Soap, I think, is quite interesting that they're asking for it, because if there's something that we have, is soap. And it's also about how we answer. So one thing is that we answer, but we should answer well, and we should answer in accordance to our brand. And this is, for instance, in Ålesund, and Camilla, the general manager, she's responding in such a nice way that the guests are actually asking for her in the lobby. Who is she? It's also about being solution-oriented, not only to say, oh, we're taking this further on to the management, but actually saying, yes, it is hard to park. It will be better by this and this. And like the young urban comfort hotel, it's then we try to use humor in the way we respond. So when the people are saying that, yeah, breakfast was okay, although the staff were slow to clean plates from empty tables, well, we answer, sorry that the waiters were a bit slow cleaning the plates. We will make them run faster. And this is the next step that we want to take this on to, is the fact that we want to implement tone of voice in TripAdvisor. We want to see whether it's possible to actually implement it on 60% of the hotels, and we believe it is. And we just started that journey. And I think one of the most interesting part here is the fact that if you look at it, we, the creatives, we, the people at the headquarters, we are not the one actually bringing on the brand. Normal people are. The normal people every day working in the hotel are actually carrying on the brand. And they're also obliged to do it in the written form. There is a switch here in the industry, actually, about that it's not necessarily the ones, the content people with content in their title actually carrying on and creating content. We need to set the guidelines in order to do that. And this brings me to the next topic, and it's this whole idea of content curation. Because, as I said, publishers are all of a sudden hotel managers, staff, normal people, grassroots people. And still, we struggle at the headquarters. We're running campaigns, and we need to distribute these campaigns to 188 hotels. For instance, we run this 50 for life. You can add 50 krona and for a good cause with UNICEF. And this is, and then we create campaign content, and then we distribute it, and then we say, this is the poster for the elevator. Put it up and put it down in 2 weeks. And then the hotels, they would answer, well, what about socials? And we say, well, we need a hashtag, because we need a hashtag, right? And then all of a sudden, we have a feed with the same poster posted 188 times. Is that what we want? I mean, a response to it could be that, yeah, well, you know, it has to look like the same in every channel at every given time. But is that what the audience want? And at the same time, the publishers, the hotel people, they're actually publishing their own stories, sharing their own their messages from the hotels where the stories are actually taking place. And here's the interesting thing, that, okay, how can we stand out? We heard Johan talk about, okay, how can we stick out? It's a really messy thing here. And I mean, now since I'm here at Adobe, I should also talk about the importance of systems. And I really believe that we should have, and we need to put this whole thing in a system. But at the same time, the system cannot save us. The whole thing that we need is actually good curators. And we're walking from actually being content creators to curators. And the most important thing here to me now is actually be able to put this in a good system, try to curate what is good and what can be used and what are the stories that we want to share. And I think really we have to go from one message to one narrative. And that's what I'm going to talk to now, the last part here. And one way to do it is to create some sort of strategy. And whatever you call it, strategy or not, the number one thing here is that it has to be univocal and it has to be very clear. We used to create a content strategy and then we walk to the management and we have some fancy words and the management are happy and they say, well, awesome, we don't understand, but fine, do it. But the thing here now is that a content pillar, a theme that we want to speak about needs to be univocal and it has to be so clear that anyone can understand it. And then we have to connect it to the KPIs, to the things, to the goals. And goals and KPIs, they should be stick, but content pillars can actually vary from time to time because we have to test what is actually engaging to the audience. And when I say that it has to be concrete as concrete, it can be, for instance, dogs. Let's say we want to talk about dogs. And everyone here has an image of a dog, and I think it's sort of the same. And that's something that everyone, it's unambiguous, right? And why are dogs important to us? Well, we can actually offer dog rooms at any hotels. So it goes back to our business, but it's also a story we want to share with the world. And let's say then that we've decided that, okay, we're going on, we want to find dogs. So we go on this content safari and we try to look for, I mean, there are a lot of good animals, but we want to find that piece of content that is really, really different or a unicorn. And in this case, since it's dogs as the example, we walk through all the stories that the hotels are sharing. And then finally we find some dogs and we put them on into the content mix of our central accounts or wherever we want to share it or wherever it's engaging to the audience. And then we do the same with recruitment. Goal is to find new good people that can actually work for our hotels. And by doing that, we talk about the cultures of our people and the culture in our people. So it all comes down to we need to know the narrative. Yes, we have to go back to the business that we're doing, but we also have to be really clear about our company's narrative. What are the stories that we want to share with the world? And then we can actually start aligning this into the whole company and whoever is actually doing publishing content. And then we can also try to create local content pillars, such as, again, now we have this city of Ålesund. And the fantastic thing about this photo is the fact that that yellow house, that's our hotel. That's the house that you can see on any Google image on Ålesund. So basically, that's actually a digital footprint if we're talking about things that actually people know about. And then we say that, okay, the hotel can actually create content. The content pillar here is basically the house. What if we only talk about that house in our, for instance, Instagram? That's a way to do it. Okay, so the most important things here now, first of all, go back to whatever your business is and try to bring that on to whatever channel you would like to engage with your audience with. And you have to understand your narrative. You have to understand, okay, what is the story that I want to share with the world? And then this whole thing about social media management, like one person taking care of the social media accounts, it doesn't work like that. This is something that we have to make the social media common in the whole. I mean, it's something we do together, right? And then at the end of the day, this is, I mean, it all comes down to change management. This is about actually walking and changing the way we work and the way we, basically the way we think about content. So at the end of the day, when we do this, we have to think the thoughts and feel the feelings of the organization that we're working with and speak their words. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ida. Thank you, Ida.
Yes.
Ida, thank you. Thanks a lot. I have a small gift for you. It's an amazing journey you have done, 1.5 years approximately. Wow. So I'm looking at the audience. Do we have any questions that you would like to ask Ida? Just a quick one. If not, remember to submit your tweets, or you can submit the questions on Twitter as well. So thanks a lot, Ida, and see you soon.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you.